You probably stumbled across many mastering tutorials which pinpoint removing resonances as one of the most important parts. Although while in mixing it is pretty easy, in mastering it can be a very destructive process. You don't want to leave any resonant areas, but if you overdo removing them, your mix will start sounding thin and weak. In this video, I will guide you through the process of removing resonances without messing up your mix. Resonances are usually caused by frequency buildups, but how to identify those? Load a great sounding reference track into reference. To make the whole process easier, make sure it is in the same vibe or nearly the same instrumentation as your own mix. Pay attention to upper mid-range. That's an area in which resonances are the most present. If you will notice any thin spikes poking through in comparison to your reference, it's time to dive deeper and remove them. Those resonant frequencies are coming from instruments, which are dynamic signal source. That being said, applying a static EQ curve won't help you in the long run. When you use dynamic processing, the attenuation is relative to how loud the resonance really is. A huge pitfall with removing resonances with static curve is that it is very easy to remove too much. And once you will start scanning through spectrum, you will find resonances everywhere. Obviously, it's better to remove problems early. So, put RESO as a first plugin on your mastering chain. Once you press Ctrl and sweep through frequency spectrum, it will slightly boost frequencies. Unlike boosting those with static EQ, you won't be distracted by hearing a huge volume difference. Once you will hear the frequency jump that sounds particularly bad, double-click to create the note. Be aware of tuning of your track and don't just concentrate on resonances that match to your music. But it is possible that you will still benefit from them being corrected. Also, listen for the resonances that are completely out of tune, because they will do the most damage. It's common to see around 4 to 8 resonance peaks in the mix, and that would benefit from being reduced. But once you start going above that number, you are definitely cutting too much. What's even worse in that case, you affecting the overall character of your sound. Although there is an option to reduce low resonances, you need to avoid it in mastering stage. Low frequency audio waves are much longer than mids and highs, so a thin Q down in the low end can affect the punch of your kick and completely remove your bass character. If you hear some changes and artifacts in that range, it would be better to get back to your mix and fix problems there. So let's say you have a healthy amount of resonances figured out. What's next? The vertical position of your note is the threshold. So you basically say no audio above this point for this frequency. A good place to start reduction is more or less in the line with the top of the real-time spectrum. When setting threshold, be aware that the more you try to cut, the more hollow your sound may become. Try to find the sweet spot and fix just enough for resonance to disappear without further reduction past that point. To help you with correct amount of reduction, RESO has two options. First one is obviously the bypass button. Yet be aware to not use your DAW on and off switch, since it creates the distracting jump. It is caused by latency compensation being turned off and on. Using built-in bypass will eliminate that and help you focus on the process. The second option is delta. It allows you to solo the frequencies you removed from the mix, and don't worry, it should sound horrible. If you want to make slight changes for reduction curve or threshold, it is better to use dedicated keyboard and mouse shortcuts. To adjust the threshold, hover over the note and press Ctrl to lock the frequency. Then, move your mouse up and down to adjust the threshold. The Q bandwidth is optimized to the frequency and automatically updates as you move the node around. If you want to make further adjustments, you can use the mouse wheel or touchpad scroll on the node to control it. To sum things up, can you get overwhelmed by removing resonances? Definitely. Can neglecting resonances hurt your sound and cause a lot of problems further in mastering? For sure. A great starting point to identify and remove resonances is to use your ears while referencing, and also to let RESO calculate targets for you. However, as with all things in mastering stage, it is very important to not overdo it. Take your time, give your ears a break, especially after identifying resonances, and then get back to your mix and start removing them. If you like the idea behind this video and you found it useful for your mastering process, make sure to leave a like and also subscribe to our channel to not miss any new eye-opening tutorials.